Brought to you by Pentz Homes and part of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast network. This is Lynx Happy Hour. Yo, what's going on? What up? Welcome back, Lynx fans, and welcome in to another episode of Lynx Happy Hour, the podcast where Lynx basketball is always on special. I'm psyched to be with you here for today, the 47th episode of the Lynx Happy Hour podcast. I am in one of those moments right now where I've just been going through the day, knocking out task after task, doing all of this monotonous things, with the exception of Lynx practice and covering it, which is never monotonous. It was very fun. And all of the coffee I've had today hit me at the exact time. It is just before 3 p.m. on Wednesday, August 5th, and we've got a lot to get to here today on Lynx Happy Hour. We talked to Chloe Bibby as a member of the media today, got the long-awaited copy of Natasha Howard's book, The Vision Through My Lens, My Life in Basketball and Beyond, in my hands today. Talked to Cheryl Reeve today ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Los Angeles Sparks. The homestand continues with 3 games in the next 4 days. A lot of exciting stuff happening, and of course, the discourse is full of bullshit. So we're going to get to as much of it as possible today. I'm going to include some clips from practice today and maybe some from some previous avails, just to add that perspective in there. There's a lot of activity going on in the gym during media availability today. But I listened to most of it, and it's fairly clear. So it should be good. So I want to focus on Chloe Bibby. What's exciting about her? She's delightful. Swore 2 times in her first availability with media. Said shit twice. So of course she and I are gonna get along great already. Maybe the running favorite for the first selection All-Terry team this year. And I think with the 3-ball that and the way she can space the floor makes her not just a kind of a random margin of the roster addition, but someone who might be able to help this team win. Hasn't played a ton, obviously, and don't expect someone to come off a dev contract right away and come in to play a ton of minutes on championship team, but they'll need some shooting, they'll need some spacing. And also we need great quotes in Australian accents. So we're all very happy in the media contingent to welcome Chloe to Minnesota. We'll get into that and more about the Spark. I think the Spark, this is a fun game. Obviously with the 2 games that the Lynx have coming up on Saturday and Sunday, the what I believe are the only back-to-backs. Is that right? The only back-to-backs this season for the Lynx, with the Aces and the Wings, obviously some headline teams there. But I like this matchup on Thursday for the Lynx, both in, you expect the Lynx to beat the Sparks, but it's another good test. We've seen them play the Sparks twice. Coming off that game on Sunday, and just the blistering pace of which was played with, and then welcoming the Sparks here at Target Center, who currently are not number one in the league in a lot of areas, and they just traded Kelsey Plum. They're not in win now mode, but number 1 in pace. So there's a lot about this matchup that I do think is interesting. We'll get to all of those things and more. I'm going to talk a little bit about the insufferable amount of NaPhEeSa CoLlIeR rumors that were in the discourse around the trade deadline. At some point, I'm not going to give that too much life, but fucking gotta address it at some point. So we'll get to all that and more right here on the other side of this break. Lynx Happy Hour. Stick around. Thanks for being here. This episode of Lynx Happy Hour is brought to you by Pentz Homes. The team at Pentz Homes has experience working with first-time home buyers, folks selling their first home and buying their next place, to people looking to downsize. With the best tools, technology, and trusted vendors to help with any home project, Pentz Homes is a top choice for buyers and sellers. For more info and to set up a time to meet with Nate and the team to talk about your home buying or selling needs, visit pentzhomes.com. That is Pentz, PentzHomes.com. Why on earth would you listen to me when you can listen to Chloe Bibby herself talk about the excitement of joining the Lynx, a team with the designs of winning a championship at this stage in her career, this stage of the season? Reminder that Chloe Bibby was a participant in the 2022 preseason and training camp with the Minnesota Lynx, appearing in one preseason game and being one of the final cuts a few days before the season. So I'll include some context about this here. I asked Reeve about that a few days ago when we first found out that the Lynx were tendering an offer sheet and we're kind of waiting to see what Chicago would do. So I'll go back. I'll include some of Cheryl's comments at the end. She had some nice things to say about Chloe today. But first, we will hear a bit from Chloe Bibby herself, the Australian shooting standout who is World Cup bound in the month of September on her first few days and practices with the Minnesota Lynx.
Welcome.
Thanks. Hi, everyone.
Chloe, just generally what have the last, 4 or so days been like, and at least, getting not a game under your belt, but like being able to be with the team during a game and kind of get the cadence of what a Lynx game day is like?
Yeah, obviously a bit of a whirlwind, but everyone's been super nice and really helpful, helping me out, getting to know, what we do in warm-ups and things like that, and just, the plays and stuff. So everyone's been super great, and yeah, it's been awesome so far.
You've got some familiarity with Cheryl. I think you made it to one of the last days of training camp in 2022. What would you say of the areas of your game that have grown the most in the 4 years since you were here for a Lynx training camp and where you are now on the active roster?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I feel like I was a baby then out of college. So, I think I've grown in a lot of areas. Definitely, in all my game. I've been overseas and I've been able to play and kind of become a different player than what I was in college. Obviously, I can still shoot the 3-ball a little bit, but I think just my decision making and just overall game has improved tremendously. It's just, as it is, I got 4 years under my belt since then, and played multiple seasons in Europe, and I think Europe's really allowed me to kind of expand my game, and but really grateful to be here and just happy.
Chloe, you never need to apologize for saying the word shit around this group. Can promise you that. She also touched on just the kind of general reputation of Australian basketball players being very, very tough. The great Sloan Martin touched on that, but Sloan was a little apart from me in the scrum, so the the audio is just kind of nonsense. So I'm cutting out the question itself, but it was on Aussies being tough and the reputation that Alana Smith forged being here, and I will just share Chloe's answer to that because it's funny, and then Andrew chimes in with another fun question after her answer. So here's that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our Aussie mentality and our national team as well. We kind of pride ourselves on that toughness and that grit, so it's kind of embedded in us, I think, and then we kind of bring that over here. So.
This team's had to go almost a year without an Aussie on the roster.
Oh, no.
Is it surprising you're this successful without an Aussie?
That's why she brought me in, though. Trying to win a championship, you need an Aussie. So, no. As I said, just super grateful to be here, and I think the Aussies that have been here have done a great job, so hopefully I can lead in that as well.
Okay, let's get to some actual basketball talk. Of course, leave it to Britt, the great Britt Robson, to bring up Chloe's role and how she envisions herself fitting in. Britt was on the opposite side of the scrum from me, so that is completely indecipherable in the audio, but I can promise you Britt asked a very intelligent question about role and fit, and we'll go into Chloe's response to that as well, and then I'll keep in a couple other questions, at least one, that might be hearing a little bit quiet. Here, Cassidy asks us about the European experience and how that helped her grow as a pro, and especially coming to a teams with a ton of players who have played in Europe and a ton of international players as well who also expect to be in Berlin for the World Cup in September.
I think I'm just going to be here, bring the energy, shoot the 3-ball, and just do what I can. Play the towels, helping everybody, just energy. That's what I bring.
You mentioned, having all those, overseas seasons under your belt since then. I mean, there's a lot of players kind of on this team that either have alternated here in WNBA or, a player like Tony who played over there and then came over here. I guess, are you familiar with any of your current teammates from that time overseas?
Oh, yes, no. I mean, I feel like I've played against everybody in Euro Cup or Euro League, and I mean, we have so many foreigners on this team, and I think that's awesome. The other day at the Changemakers, I think they announced, half of us, and we're all, European, Australian, just somewhere different. I think that's awesome, and it just shows, how much the game has expanded and the league has expanded to allow, more players to see the talent, and I think that's just awesome. The girls here are obviously great, and I think it shows the skill level and everything and how competitive you're a bit. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Australia is coming off of a great performance at the last Olympics, being on the podium. And what are the expectations for Australia going into this World Cup, and how exciting of an opportunity is it for you to get to be a part of the Opals going to Berlin?
Yeah, I'm super keen for that. It's going to be awesome. But our goal is to always medal. So we always just want to be on the podium, and that standard for us. So it's going to be a tough week, but I think we all have that expectation, and it's pressure, but it's good pressure. I think it's so much pride when you get to play for your country, and I definitely feel that, immense pride putting on the Australian jersey, so I feel super honoured, but I think with that privilege, it, has responsibility, so, we're going to go out and do, what we need to get it done, but it's definitely a goal to get on the podium.
Getting to play in the WNBA and represent your country, and do so while having Cheryl Reeve as the head coach of your club team and Sandy Brondello be the head coach of your national team. Great company to be in for Chloe Bibby, and definitely feels like a very coachable player and someone who might be able to make a difference on this team. She wouldn't be here if Cheryl Reeve did not believe that. So let's go ahead and just hear a little bit from what Coach had to say about why Chloe Bibby was the most attractive development player on the market.
Earliest impressions of your new Aussie and just getting her in here in practice.
Yeah, she can shoot the darn thing, man. And her release is quick, and there is not a thought about whether it's going up. It's going up. Yeah, she's very confident.
All right, so this is where the extracurriculars and noise in the gym got a little bit crazy. So I'm cutting out Cassie's question on just approach to the trade deadline, making big deals each of the last few seasons with Dejanay Carrington, Maisha Hines-Allen. Well, this one was a little bit more subdued, but how Chloe fits and just why that was an intriguing transaction for the Lynx to pursue at this year's trade deadline. Question asked by Cassidy Hedesheimer.
We felt like we had the necessary depth on the roster, whereas didn't feel like that in 2024 for a variety of reasons. 25, same thing. So I think maybe the difference was we felt like getting feedback was almost like adding a player. So that was nothing that really moved us. There was interest in our players more than us being interested.
Where do you see Chloe kind of fitting in on the court? Overseas, she's been
not
more
sure
of a
yet.
big.
Yeah, not sure yet, to be honest with you. We've got a lot of depth on the right side of the roster now, which is what we weren't saying that earlier in the season. And so a lot of effort over there, a lot getting healthy with Dorkinski. Now what we're doing is the next phase of this thing over the next couple of weeks is to figure out just that. How do I use some of these other players? Having them on the bench isn't necessarily preferred, but it's going to affect playing time somewhere. So we have to, that's where a lot of our conversations are as far as rotations and subbing, et cetera. But right now, Chloe's, from a priority standpoint, isn't at the top. We've got some others that were, like someone like Mia, that we want to, and I know Ola. So it may not be possible, we'll have conversations with those players.
Something I am kind of most interested to see is Cheryl staggering the lineup and not the starting lineup, but rotations and just what she can do with a full cupboard. She's going to have 12 players to pick from in a game for the first time this year. And that's very fascinating. And for especially basketball sickos, but the people who love just like get into coaching and stuff, I will be very interested to see her decision making in games, because we obviously know it's top notch, it's Hall of Fame, and now it's just giving her more resources to play with. So we'll see. I don't foresee something like they get another development player to join Leah Tu King, and then there being a game where both dev spots are active, maybe later in the season, especially if they do clinch the 1 seed with some room to spare. But yeah, I'm very interested in how Cheryl adjusts and just the type of adjustments that she makes now that she's able to, because beginning of the year, without Fee, of course, and Dorka, of course, and then Emma Chikova goes down in game number 3. It was just, all right, this is what it's going to be because it's what it has to be. And as people have slowly gotten back, I've always been, interested this whole season in like, okay, I need to get the starter some rest, but I'm not taking out all 5. We honestly can't. There would be games in garbage time where it's like, all right, Liv or Court has to play because there aren't other guards. Now this is the opposite, and you love to see sort of a magician work when they have their full bag of tricks available, to use a very cheesy metaphor for that. So I'm really excited about what Cheryl can do with the full cupboard, for a less cheesy metaphor. And I don't know what to expect in terms of the early going from Bibby, but you heard it. Great quote. Always nice to have an Aussie around. And, Cheryl did not hold back with, she can shoot that thing. You heard her say it. And just having someone with the confidence to get that at the top of the key and it's going up. I think that's sort of been the conversation that Cheryl's alluded to throughout the season in regards to Nia Coffey being like, hey, shoot that. Like, I don't care if you're 0 for 4, put that shot up. Like, we have that faith in you. We want you shooting that. If your feet are set and the ball finds you, it's got to go up. So having a player in Bibby where it's going to go up, we'll see how she uses it. Let's grab another quick break here, and then we'll touch on some fun and unfun stuff on the other side of it, and then we'll call it an episode. How's that sound? And I'll get this up just in time for your afternoon commute. Even in a season where we did get the blockbuster trade at the WNBA trade deadline that W fans have been craving, it still didn't silence a discourse of ridiculousness. And I am, of course, referring to the near constant rumors over the last week or so about NaPhEeSa CoLlIeR and her current level of happiness with the Minnesota Lynx, being a Minnesota Lynx, etc. The Los Angeles Sparks sent Kelsey Plum to the Phoenix Mercury in exchange for Monica Koamakani, first round pick, second round pick, which I think we all expected Plum to be moved. Did not expect it to be moved, to her to be moved to a fellow team outside of playoff contention. I love it when just funny things happen in sports, and maybe the most unintentionally funny aspect of this is that the Sparks are ahead of the Mercury in the standings. There's certainly more star power on the Mercury, and it's just funny that we see it this way. it's a big bet by Phoenix that they feel they can resign Plum in the offseason. And honestly, look, I see where that comes from. You get her in. They have a nice new facility. And you can show that off in a way that you can't. And in the extended period that is not available to you during free agency. And honestly, while I just dug the Mercury a little bit there, props to them for doing this. I don't want the 7 teams outside of the playoffs to just quit. Make it interesting. Make it weird. So I love that Phoenix is like, oh, let's get into the field. Let's just get into the top 8 and then see what happens. And I would have loved to have seen other teams do this, especially, someone like Tyler Marsh in Chicago, who's Jeff Pagliacca, the GM there. They're both of their seats have to be varying degrees of warmth. No reason to tank, and players don't tank. So I love that teams 9 through 15, at least something happened to keep an eye on the portion of the league below the thin red line. Because right now, Washington is the team in 8th place for the final playoff spot with a 5-game lead over the Los Angeles Sparks, who are in 9th. The move, 1 year in, nothing's less interesting to anyone than someone telling you about, like, this one time this thing happened in my fantasy football league. But a friend of mine did do a fire sale at the deadline just for future draft capital and ended up winning the league championship that year anyway. And that was several years ago, and we haven't forgotten it. And he reminds us every single time. So it would be hilarious if the Sparks sparked a rally, sorry for that, and got themselves back into the playoff picture. They're not playing that bad, and the Lynx can't overlook this Sparks team on Thursday night. So anyway, that is a bit of a tangent away from the point here, is that the WNBA trade deadline has long been kind of just a time to add around the margins. Not a ton of splashy things happen, which is fine for people who are part of this modern age in sports media, who benefit off of getting on any screen of any kind and being loud and talking the who won the trade bullshit. Who won the trade? Neither team has played since the trades happened. Let's decide who won and who lost. A competently conservative deadline doesn't really feed that discourse machine the way it does in other leagues. And I think last year woke up, I believe it was a Sunday morning, when the news came through that the Lynx acquired Dejanay Carrington, who is a very good player, one of my favorite players in this league, just all the different things she can do, but hadn't been an all-star. And that was maybe one of the bigger splashes that I can remember. And then Plum this year is for sure the biggest splash. 2024, Myisha Hines-Allen felt splashy in relative to other trade deadlines. So the people got the Kelsey Plum trade. A couple days earlier, they got a very interesting trade in Anissa Morrow going to Toronto. There is no reason to talk about trades that simply didn't exist the same way that in which the discourse just glommed onto NaPhEeSa CoLlIeR. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of making anything up. I'm merely expressing frustration in just reacting to the knee-jerk nature of the status of players simply for the sake of making a reaction. Nothing has changed in regards to Fee's status in Minnesota since the preseason, when she was cored and she signed the 1-year max contract. I said at the time that would loom over this entire season. And if Fee for sure wanted to be in Minnesota long term, She could have signed longer. I think it was FEE taking what was available to her. She didn't have the ability to test the free agent waters as a fully unrestricted free agent, which she never has gotten to do in her career. And yeah, maybe if she could have done that, she may have left at a time when a bunch of players she spent a bunch of time with also left. Maybe at that time, she didn't believe the Lynx had done enough to keep themselves at total contender status. And also maybe she might leave in the postseason, or in the offseason, sorry. We don't know that. I'm not saying FEE's for sure going to stay. I think she should, but she has other people who she confides in, and she'll make that decision when she does. My belief is she has not made any kind of decision in regards to the future and will open herself up to pitches from 15 teams in the WNBA. Cheryl mentioned that earlier, and FEE has said nothing other than just being focused on the now in regards to that. What I would say is that listen to her. FEE's always speaking thoughtfully, and we should listen as thoughtfully as she's speaking. That doesn't mean you can find Easter eggs in any of her words, because I'm telling you, she's not going to let it be known what she's doing. And again, I don't believe she knows what she's going to do. I think she's going to play this season out as hard as she can and try to win a championship and try to win a finals MVP and try to do all the things and then make a decision. So it does not behoove the Lynx to move a player like FEE even on an expiring deal to try and get her for something. The plum package wasn't that great. I really like Monica Koa-Makani. That first round pick, almost certain to be, 7 or later in 2027. Second round pick in 2028. I don't think many teams were offering much because any team that acquires FEE has the same risk. And the Lynx aren't just going to exchange FEE for someone they're going to play in the playoffs. So the idea that this was ever close to happening, I think, is what frustrates me the most. Because there was no real way for a team. She gets linked to the Golden State Valkyries a lot. The Velks probably would have had to include Gabby Williams in such a deal. And why not just, wait till the offseason? I get, making the push for a championship this year. Why would the Lynx do that? It just was never in the cards. It's never in the cards. And if you live here on planet Earth with me, you knew that. So I think that's what got annoying. And I think the Lynx will be very well positioned to pitch themselves to FEE as a team that will be very competitive again next year and in future years, as both, Natasha Howard and Nia Coffey are on very, very team-friendly contracts through next season. Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams locked up through next season. And Olivia Miles playing on a rookie scale contract is the best asset in the WNBA. Right now, that is the best contract in the WNBA. So, year after next year, maybe it, I'm not going to speculate on a time when Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams aren't playing for the Lynx, but they may be, not on max deals anymore. Maybe move on, whatever. There'll be more money, and you're not going to have to extend Liv until, 2029? So there's flexibility and really good players. So, yeah, I don't know. And the way FEE has spoken since returning tells me that she's someone who has not made that decision yet. I think she's had a lot of time to reflect. I think if the record was much worse than it is, it would be different. But it is what it is. And the Lynx are 25-6. They have a 3.5 game lead over the Golden State, or is it the Aces or the Velks in second right now? The Aces. Sorry. Well, they're both 21-9. WNBA has the Aces in the 2 spot and the Velks in the 3. So there's a cushion. There's tier 1, I think, is Minnesota. And you could put the Aces in there because the Lynx haven't beaten the Aces yet this year. And the Aces did beat the Lynx in the one meeting in Vegas. And Asia's probably going to win MVP again. Fine. So trying to figure out what they should have done, or that there was some kind of actual trade market for Fee, it just is ridiculous to me. And it boils my blood how much we're talking about it. As I say, as I've now been talking about this for several minutes. I'm a hypocrite. I am part of the problem, fully. So I hope now that it's done that we can stop talking about it. We'll see if everyone else in WNBA media lets this go and lets them play. Fee, what are you going to do in the offseason? I don't know. We have a fucking playoff push. She wouldn't say that, but I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry right now. I would just watch what happens. We'll find out in the offseason. And no team can offer more, literally and figuratively. No, she'll be able to. The cap is going to go up a little bit, I expect, and I think the supermax that only the Lynx are available to offer ends up adding up to a total of $1 million over a 3-year period. So not that if she really doesn't want to come back, maybe she just really wants to live somewhere else, that's fine. But the Lynx do have that added carrot of something 300 some thousand per year in salary that they would be able to offer that other teams cannot. That is my understanding of it. And that would have been an additional thing you're trading away. It would have been weird to trade her and then try and sign her again in the offseason. But Cheryl never leaves any stones unturned. So I don't know. That doesn't matter. What does matter? Lynx play the Sparks tomorrow night. And then nationally televised back-to-back matinees between the Las Vegas Aces and the Dallas Wings. Of the remaining games, tomorrow night's game against the Sparks, next Wednesday's game in Portland against the Fire, and Sunday, September 20th game in Connecticut are the only games left against teams not currently in the playoff field. 13 games to go, 10 of them against playoff teams. This is the fun shit. This is what you follow for. Thank God there's going to be that break coming. Maybe some of you aren't excited about that. After playing at Atlanta on Sunday, August 30th, they don't play again until Friday, September 18th. I can't wait. Just going to get a lot done during that time, guys. I love the games. I love covering the games. It's the best part of the job. About 3 weeks, though, just to get back. We'll figure something. We'll be doing a lot of content still then, too. I'm sure there'll be some watch parties at places like a bar of their own and stuff for the Women's World Cup. And following all the Lynx angles out of it. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I might make that own little like writing training camp type deal. Not going on any kind of crazy vacation. Might just jump in a couple of lakes. I still have not jumped in a single lake this summer. That needs to change. Very excited, like I said, about this Lynx Sparks matchup. LA leading the league in pace. Coming into this one, Lynx showed they can play with pace. They can match you no matter how you want to dictate tempo. That's what's really dangerous and really fun about this Lynx team. They played what felt, honestly, I know it wasn't the fastest paced game ever, but it felt like it on Sunday against the Fever. And I'm excited to see what these next 3 games feel like. So, hope to see you there. Hope to see you downtown at Target Center. Thanks for, met a few fans this weekend. Always great to interact with y'all in person. Something about this that I just thought of, okay, because these are the type of things that I worry about. I always, make sure that I check the Twins schedule for things related to the Lynx, because parking's obviously way different when the Twinkies are in town, no matter how far out of the race they are, although they're right in the race right now, thanks to the American League sucking. And I'm still cheering for them. I'm still a Twins fan. So if you're also a Twins fan, hit me up, and we'll talk about how much I like Taj Bradley. But the Savannah Bananas will be at Target Field Friday through Sunday. I'm sure you've experienced trying to park downtown when the Lynx and Twins are playing simultaneously. This will be like double that, because as much better, or I guess as the Twins have exceeded expectations, there's still a very pissed off fan base that's not going to games, at least a portion of the fan base, I should say. And Target Field has not been completely sold out, I think, for any day except opening day this season. And it is completely sold out for 3 games of the Savannah Banana Ball. Savannah Bananas are playing at Target Field on Friday, on Saturday, and Sunday, and every game is completely sold out. I do think it might not be as big of an issue on Saturday. I know I needed to look this up, but I know there's some street closures and stuff around. Okay, so Saturday's game, so the Savannah Bananas play at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Really fun doubleheader. Yeah, I've expressed how much I love downtown Minneapolis, so maybe I'll go. I don't have tickets, but if you have Savannah Bananas tickets, add the Lynx game to your Saturday itinerary. Come on. So that will probably, if you're just doing the game, I guess, yeah, because if you're just doing the game, by the time you're leaving the Lynx game, it's probably not madness downtown yet. Or madness in Ramp A, B, C, everywhere surrounding One Twins Way or First Ave. But there's also additional road closures. Whatever. Props to anyone who's going to both games. If you have a banana ball ticket on Saturday, I might go just so that I can make fun of it. We've got a rant about the bananas, but I'm not going to unleash that here. I'd rather just go to a St. Paul Saints game. Anyway, I digress. The Sunday game, though, is at 3, and the Lynx play at 2:30. So, give yourself, this is a PSA, give yourself more time to arrive, to leave your house early. Don't leave the game early. Wasn't going to say that. But I bet the Lynx game will end before. But anyway, this is MVP podcasting right here. The Sunday one will be crazy. I don't think I'm going to drive. I'll probably take the bus in or something. Just know that it's going to be a shit show around that part of downtown Minneapolis on Sunday, and potentially Friday and Saturday too, just in terms of how many people are around and trying to get into almost the exact same spaces. That's it. That's what I got. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to this episode of Lynx Happy Hour. Thank you for rocking with us, dear listener. It's been such a fun season so far, and I have enjoyed covering it for you so much. Again, my name's Terry Horseman. You can catch all of my written content about the Lynx at the9sports.com. That is the 9 spelled Roman numeral style, so THEIX Sports. I haven't said it like that before. That kind of felt like a chance, like THEIX Sports. I'll propose that at the next staff meeting. And also Hitting the Hardwood. Shout out to the founder of the Hitting the Hardwood Network, Mitchell Hansen, and my colleague, at Hitting the Hardwood, and he's also at Zone Coverage. I'm the host of the Missing Links podcast, and Drew Dukowitz, and also to our sponsors, presenting sponsor, Nate Pentz of Pentz Homes, the crew at Firehawk Constructions, Fantasy Sports, Evo, and Homage Apparel as well. But most importantly, shout out to you, Lynx fans, for listening to Lynx Happy Hour, the Lynx podcast. The podcast for Lynx basketball is always on special. Enjoy the rest of the regular season. Hope everyone's August, it's crazy that August is getting off to a phenomenal start, and hope that you have the best week possible. Everybody, thanks so much for listening. Peace.